The EAA Girsan Witness 2311, the most affordable of the double stack 1911s that I've heard of, even coming with a red dot for these early ones. Coming up next, you'll see my absolute first shots through the gun straight out of the box, including zeroing this Perry far dot sight on here. Then some real first shots on steel like we always do, full magazine plus one. We'll test it with some other mags. We'll test 10 different loads through it, in addition to our range load to see how the gun runs. Take it to the spinner for sights and trigger control, do some practical accuracy, and then give you concluding thoughts. All coming up next on GBGuns. Now, these first shots are going to be a little bit different because we've got the red dot and got to make sure it's zeroed. So one of the reasons why we typically don't review with a dot is making sure the dot is on target gets in the way of actually knowing the gun. I prefer to know the gun first, then put a dot on it. Anyways, got some Fiocchi range dynamics thanks to our Ammo Squared supporters loaded up in the included magazine. Done nothing to the gun. This is my first shot through it in the tabletop. I found the trigger to be a little bit on the heavy side. See where our dot is. And if you guys want to skip this zeroing and my first shot impressions, check the chapter markers. Okay, that's dead center. Looks pretty good. One more to confirm. I'll keep it. You know, it's good. Slightly low, maybe. Maybe that's me learning the gun. We don't know yet because I haven't shot the gun much. Let's move on and do our traditional first impressions. We are 20 yards back from a reduced size C-zone piece of steel. And I've got 10 rounds of that same Fiocchi loaded up. I did notice, and turning off the camera afterwards, that I had an incomplete feeding on that last one. The gun feels a little stiff. Is it the gun or is it the ammo? Well, to know that, we'll have to go look at the chart over on the 9mm range ammo guide to find out if maybe this Fiocchi's a little soft for the gun while it's breaking in. Just like that, just happened. Could be the gun. Let's see. All right. I was just at a USCCA member event where I shot my Bull Armory. Which is a similar gun, but costing a lot more. We got it does not want to go in a battery. Some slight marks on the brass. I don't know if it's going to come through in the camera. A little bit of chewing there. May mean we've got a rough feed issue. It might also be this magazine. Give it another try. Exact same thing happening there. So, two things we can try. A different magazine and different ammo. I've got one of the Duramags here. The Duramags are, well, they developed these for Springfield for the Prodigy, but they should fit. Let's see. Still a little bit of sticking, but it is smoother. I can tell you, aside from that heavy trigger, the gun is really comfortable to shoot. Let me go grab some hotter ammo, or known hot ammo, and we'll try some of that, see if that solves our issues. It may just be that the gun is brand new out of the box, like I said. I also, in keeping with our tradition of worst case scenario, did not do what you should do, and that is to apply some oil to the gun. Traditionally, I run guns right out of the box as a worst case scenario because I know there are consumers that do that or may have to do that. So that's how this gun currently is. I'll grab some oil, grab some hotter ammo. We'll see what happens. All right, now we're back. I threw some Lucas oil on the rails, and I've got the hottest I could find in the What's for Dinner, just out of quick memory. The Federal Training Match 147 grain, these purple ones that are called Training Match, I've learned, because they're to match the HSTs, which tend to be a hot load. They are a snubby one, so hopefully we don't have feed issues. I'm also using the Duramag, so we've changed 3 variables. See how it goes. Just have 5 rounds of this stuff. Make sure I'm still in frame. Yes. Oh yeah, that's hotter. Everything ran. So now back to the original magazine and that soft Fiocchi. I'm not saying that 5 rounds breaks in a gun, but things seem to be going better. Man, once you learn the recoil impulse, it's pretty easy to get back on target with this thing. No issues there. So, bad gun? Nah, just needed a little bit of lube, a little bit of break-in effort. Next, we'll do full mag +1 and see how this ACT mag, or sorry, Checkmate mag works on its own. So now with 17 rounds load of the Fiocchi at 115 grain in our Checkmate mag, I'm gonna use the Duramag for our +1. Giving us 18 rounds on tap. Can't speak today. Wow, that sure has a nice balance to it. I'm going to not burn this down, but I'm going to try to go as quickly as I can and still guarantee hits and get a feel for this thing. So far, it's feeling pretty good. Trigger is just a little heavier than I want. But for the price, that's fixable. You know, this Fiocchi might be too soft. And this is why I did that guide. I'll link that again in the pinned comment of this video. It's kind of annoying, but it might break in. Yeah, the recoil impulse is pretty nice. It's very controllable. I wish I had a resting spot for my support thumb, but again, this is an entry price double stack 1911. If you're used to a more traditional 1911, you'll have no problems. Don't like that ammo issue. Let me see if I've got one more load we can try. We're in luck. I found some Winchester White Box. I know Winchester White Box was kind of the meme ammo. It was the ammo that people like to make fun of. But when I did that 23 load test, this stuff's actually on the spicy end. So where they may have the occasional proud primer or wrong projectile, energy-wise, this stuff's pretty good. So I have 10 rounds of it. Let's give it another go. 10 more rounds of break-in, some hotter ammo, see how we do this time. See what I mean? The spring feels stiffer than other guns of comparable barrel length and action type. That may be the issue. It may just be break-in, but I think I'll stick to Winchester White Box for the range ammo for this session. What's for dinner should be interesting, because we've got quite a range of energy through those loads. And that's what's coming up next. And it's that time again, thanks to our Ammo Squared supporters, patron supporters, and me just shopping. It's what's for dinner time. As we scroll by these, you'll notice that across these 10 different loads, we go from 100 grain up to 158 grain today. And the ogives in different locations, we've got different bullet profiles, case materials, and coatings, etc. This is a test that is not pass-fail of the gun or the ammo. It's the combination. This is to give you an idea what might or might not run in the gun. 3 rounds each for each load to see if it feeds from slide lock. Does it cycle and feed another of the same type? 3rd round to reduce variables. Let's get to it. This could be an interesting one. We don't know. Is the gun breaking in? Does it have issues? Is it ammo picky? That's what we'll be looking to find out. Got our target set up 7 yards away. Those are 2-inch circles. They're not the finest aiming point. However, this dot is 4 MOA, so it should be pretty good. I'm really curious. I'm rooting for you. Also, I will be using the Duramag mags since I have 4 of those. There's only 1 included mag with the gun. That gives me 5 mags. This should make things go a little bit quicker, and we've already proven those mags work in this gun. First load, our lightest load, the 90 grain lead-free 1776. I'm really curious to see how this turns out. Not in a rooting against the gun or anything like that, just knowing some guns need a break-in and some don't like certain loads. It's been a while since we've had this. Circle number 1. Interesting low right tendency with that ammo, but it cycled. Next, what used to be a classic gun choker, I think they've fixed it. The Hornady Critical Defense Light. It's also just 100 grains and has a bullet profile that looks a lot more like a 380 than a 9mm. Circle number 2. It's running. Still hitting a bit low, maybe. The trigger feels like it's starting to loosen up and break in a little bit, so that's nice. Circle 3 is from S&B. This is 100 grain non-tox, an interesting snub nose profile. I don't need to show you guys, you saw it in the intro bit. Oh yeah, the trigger's getting better. We did not go fully into battery. And we did not get, is that me? Nope, that's the mag. So this is one of the Duramags, and it is not locking open on empty. I have to keep that in mind. Circle 4, Blazer Aluminum 115 grain. It's another Duramag. Sorry guys, if I just kept loading the single mag over and over again, we'd be here all day. Locked open that time, and it ate it. We use aluminum, by the way, because same reason you guys do, it's cheaper. However, the problem with aluminum and steel cased ammunition, if you're not familiar, is they have a higher friction coefficient between the cases in the magazine, as well as going into and out of the chamber, and they expand and contract at a different rate than brass does. As a result, it can choke some guns, which is where you hear the stories of don't use that stuff. Circle 5, Federal Syntech PCC 130 grain. That's right, it's meant for carbines for a 16-inch barrel. It's got a slower burning powder. I like to run it in this stuff just to give it a try, and we have noticed that in comped guns, it's nice. I think you're getting a little more gas at the end. So if you do a compensator, something to consider. Trigger. Interesting. Trigger's going back and forth. It hasn't decided if it's broken in yet or not. Now I'll do a quick pause while I reload these magazines for the second set of 5. Now on to load 6 is a defensive load from Federal. This is the 138 grade Syntex Defense. This is the stuff that breaks apart into 3 petals and a core. Sure, still in frame since I've moved. That was my hand not depressing the safety. Definitely more recoil on that, and it ran. The groupings not being my best are probably just the challenges I'm having with this trigger, but it seems to be breaking in. Next up, another S&B load. This is their 140 grain subsonic. It's a snub-nosed guy, and what I think it's interesting is 140 grain is lightweight for subsonic, which means they've got a lighter bullet and less powder. Circle 7. Soft. That's nice shooting stuff. But it ran. Now, out of that combo pack, we've got the 147 grain Federals, the HST, and the training match. I'll start with the training match. This is the same stuff that we verified earlier. The gun needed a little bit of break-in. Circle 8. Tell I'm not a regular dot shooter. Ooh, that's spicy. And we did not get slide lock on the same Durmag that was causing it before. So that's a bummer. Now the real HST's 147 grain. That fed. Interesting pairing those two side by side as a training round, because I would argue that the Syntec stuff, the practice load, had more recoil than those HSTs did. Those actually shot fairly nicely. Our last load, coming in at 158 grains, is some PPU subsonic. Great stuff if you like to run suppressed guns. Fat, heavy, slow round, long bullet. Circle 10. And quite possibly we could argue that with that long bullet getting more rifling engagement, shoots better too. Smells like a mix between, like if you had a bakery next door to a machine shop. Interesting blend, which ironically is kind of how parts of Serbia have smelled to me in the past too. All right, next is sights and trigger control over at the spinner. How's this trigger gonna do for me? Let's go find out. That is a 6-inch spinner target. We are back about 13 yards away. I'm standing right next to the camera. I'll leave you guys zoomed in so you can watch it. I use this target for sights and trigger control testing because it's a small target at distance, and as I hit it, it starts moving, which makes hitting it again all the harder. The more you hit it, the more difficult it is to hit, the more important a well-placed, well-timed shot becomes if you want to get it over the top. I've swapped back to that Winchester white box, so we can continue the break-in on this gun. Curious how this trigger is going to behave for me. We go 8 rounds. I'm going to aim a little high since we know we're biased low. But Graham, that's a no-name budget optic on a Turkish import affordable pistol with a lousy trigger that we've heard. Learn the gun. It's totally doable. I was able to time the shot, as you saw, over and over again. Knock it over the top a few times, and getting right back on target was pretty easy because of this double stack 1911 style of gun. Now, do I have experience with these? Yes, I carry one, not this particular model, but I carry a double stack 1911. So I'm comfortable with them. The gun does seem to be breaking in. The trigger obviously is breaking in. Even with its heavier weight, I was still able to time the shot because I knew what the weight was. And let's say it's 7 pounds. If you can't move 7 pounds with your finger, chances are you also can't hold a gun. It is really, people get so wrapped up over trigger weight. Can it influence your shot? Yes. Can it make a difference bench shooting from a rifle? Oh, for sure. But for handgun stuff, even a 6-inch target at 13 yards, it's doable. It's totally doable. I'll leave my other thoughts for after the practical accuracy, which is coming up next. We are back at 7 yards, and I've got a 1-inch target this time. That left circle square. Starting to rain on us. Looks like I got this done almost in time. Winchester white box. I'm going to aim at the square. Typically that square is the same size as the front sight post. I'm using a 4 MOA dot this time. See how we do. The dot is definitely smaller than the square. Looks like I threw one, but otherwise, pretty pleased with that. Including thoughts on the EAA Girsan Witness 2311. Was it perfect out of the box? No. Is it about $1,000 less expensive than most of the competition? Yes. So, two ways to look at this. Oh my gosh, I spent about $1,000 and this gun isn't flawless. I can get a $400 gun that's flawless. True. Flip side, wow, this is half the price of so many of the other guns of similar builds. With that money saved, I can afford ammo to break it in. I can buy a trigger kit and redo the trigger. I can train with it and get good with it as it is. As a practical man, I side with the other, because if you're getting one of these, it's because you want a double stack 1911, and your options, quite frankly, are to spend a whole lot more or to get this and run with it. I bet as this breaks in, and we've already seen towards the end it's been pretty smooth, it's going to get really good. I think afterwards, and I might put this on camera, I'll run another mag of the Fiocchi through it and see how that goes, since it didn't like the Fiocchi, what, 150 rounds ago. But things have gotten better. The trigger is still not superbly light, short, crisp. It's crisp and it's short, but it's not superbly light. However, it does seem to be smoothing out. Either that or I'm just getting used to it. I think this is a great offering. I think it's a great way for folks to get into the platform and try it, because I know when you're looking at your $400 to $600 range basic carry or range gun, stepping into the double stack 1911 is quite a jump, right? I mean, some of those companies, you can't get a gun for less than $2,000. Others are really darn close to it. So at half the price with the dot, this gets you into it. This gets you feeling how it is. And the fun thing about the price underdog is when somebody's flexing on their expensive purchase, which they tend to do because they need to continue to justify it because they're catching hell at home and they're making payments on their credit card every month. You get something like this and you learn it and run it well. I know it's not a proper good value feeling to have, but I certainly smile when I show up with something that someone doesn't respect and I smoke them with it. So thanks to EAA and Girsan for making this available on the market in the US. I think it's pretty cool. I'm a little glad that Tia wasn't here for the first shots. She might have gotten a little frustrated, but as it's breaking in, I think it'd be really cool to see Tia shoot it and get her opinion on it. I don't have a super high end to do a side-by-side with, but man, this certainly calls into question some of the other options on the market that cost about 40–50% more. Do I think they are better? Yes. Are they that much better to warrant that price? That's really up to you and what you're comfortable with. I think for this plus a case of ammo, you're probably going to be as good or a better shot with your gun than the guy who spent the same amount of money on just the gun. That's just my feeling. Thanks for watching. If you want full specs, details, where to find one of these, especially one of the early ones while they're available that come with a dot, and the dot works, who cares? It's a free dot. Check the pinned comment, the full article and review over at gbgunsdepot.com. We'll have all that kind of detail as well as some extra thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bonus round, because I'm curious. 10 more rounds, that Fiocchi 115 grain. And to clarify, Fiocchi is not bad ammunition. It's just soft ammunition. And when you've got a stiff gun or a gun that needs break-in, soft ammo is going to cause problems. It's a shame there aren't more YouTube channels that bring that up because I've seen quite a few have issues where it's like, man, if you just used a different load, you would have said that gun was great. And they end up blaming the gun. Knowing and understanding your ammunition is very important. Please go check out our 9mm ammo range test document. 23 loads tested. It will help you find the right stuff for your needs, energy-wise and price-wise. But 10 rounds of this Fiocchi, same piece of steel out there. Let's just see if the gun runs, and I'm using the included magazine. Not quite yet. But we're getting there. Gun just needs break-in and lubrication. Be aware of that. It's a machine. That happens. Thanks for watching.